Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Anonymous E. And this is a follow-up to the narcissist has ulterior motives, and the narcissist goal is to destroy you. Hello, Ollie. So we left off at my wedding, and my mother's, whom I guess I'll refer to as Drunky now, and B's disgusting behavior. Husband and I made it through all that and got to the room my dad had reserved for us. We were both so exhausted, we actually fell asleep as soon as we got to the room. My dad and brothers had taken him out the night before, and he told me he had woken up that morning on the bathroom floor in front of the toilet. He couldn't keep up with their drinking and couldn't believe how much they could drink. Husband's dad, W, and girlfriend J had bought us a long weekend at a very nice cabin for our honeymoon, and it was wonderful. We returned home and resumed our life as it was pre-wedding. I had been offered an apprenticeship with a local sculptor. One of my instructors had noticed I followed directions and worked hard. She always seemed to like my design. This sculptor, K, had a huge workshop behind his house in the desert, and I worked for him there. All right, so because these open started line, she liked your designs, but it's a he. Okay. Although he called it an apprenticeship because the plan was to teach me, he still paid me $10 an hour because he explained he needed help. It was hard to find students willing to make the drive, and he could afford it. He knew I was newly married and trying to build a life. He lived with his wife, Ann, and she also worked from home as a writer and anthropologist. She studied native tribes, weaving specifically. She and he had lived on the reservation for periods of time. Witnessing their marriage was very eye-opening for me. Drunky had finally announced she was divorcing Dad after a long separation. My dad was still in California. Anyway, I was a new wife, witnessing my parents' divorce while simultaneously, intimately witnessing this delightful relationship Kay had with his wife in their healthy marriage. They were always home together and never fought in front of me. She had an office off the front of the house, and he worked in his workshop, his workshop out back. They had interests besides boozing together and interests separately. They had chosen not to have kids, and I think they regretted it because they were always mentoring people. During the 2 years I worked there, countless past students came to visit Kay while I was there. He would include me in all conversations and presented me as a person to respect, which was cool because I couldn't do that for myself. I got to do deliveries with him, meet gallery owners, and do installations, and also took time with me, lending me books from her vast library, teaching me weaving basics, and even letting me borrow her personal student portable loom. They even offered to pay my tuition one semester. They had to convince me to accept it by explaining they didn't have kids, but if they had, they'd be in college about now. That they loved, they wanted to help us, and didn't want to take their money to the grave. I felt under it all that I didn't really deserve to be the benefactor of all this. Sometimes you just meet nice philanthropists. You know, they don't have kids. They have nothing to do with their money. You know, they see somebody, they want to help them out. And because you never got real love or affection or had a real family at home, you don't know how to accept this. The best your father can do is pay for a hotel room and get your husband drunk. Wow, gee, thanks. Since you do that on every other day, could you have not done that on my wedding day? Well, guess not. I was so grateful and worked really hard for him. I was in charge of everything to do with filling the orders. He only touched the work to sign it. I even shopped for the supplies. He wanted me to do everything, learn everything. He was patient, a slow talker, a slow thinker, and unbelievably ingenious. Once I had the sculptures down and was getting very fast at them, we started doing home improvements. I remember him telling me, I know it seems like I'm using you to get the house fixed up, but I can't keep you busy with the sculptures alone, and I'm choosing projects I feel will teach you valuable skills. He's treating you like almost you're a girl, but it seems like it's like a father trying to teach his son or trying to raise his children. We built a beautiful porch cover on their front porch. He had me make my own hanging hardware for practice, cutting, drilling, welding steel. He had me carve the ends of the beams decoratively using the cool technique with a wood planer. I learned how to do a dovetail, a herringbone. Lots of practice, practice, practice. At the drill press, at the table saw, at the welder. He'd teach me and go take a nap or work in his office. I got so much practice being competent. We built a beehive fireplace in their living room. I remember the feeling when we sawed a hole in their living room ceiling. No fear, he said, but he didn't want to climb the ladder to the roof. So we said he'd have to teach me how to build a chimney from the ground. I started to feel like a badass. Can you imagine? At 22, 23 years old, a 22, 23-year-old young woman, he's trusting me to build the chimney on his home that protects his wife and cat. He had so much faith in me. I was almost starting to have faith in myself. And it's a hard thing when you can't accept the faith that other people put in you outside the narcissistic circle. You don't accept it. Like, why is this person putting, they must not see it, or it must not be hard to do. By this time I had quit my waitressing job. My husband's and my rent was not much, and we also had his income. He and I were still in our honeymoon phase. I was producing work like crazy: metal, concrete, ceramic, fiber sculpture, wood. It was during that time that my photographer jeweler friend C and I, along with 2 other female art students, began renting a warehouse together. We built internal walls to make a separate gallery, darkroom, and I set up a ceramic studio. The place was a shithole, and we had some of the best times together, cleaning it up and painting it and making it look nice. Kay taught me how to design our sign on the computer and cut it out on his shop bot. That was cool. I only ever had been allowed to clean the shop bot or repair it, but not use it. Those were really fun times. We were becoming a legitimate business, learning how and which licenses to get, how to pay our taxes. We were getting really close to our first gallery show when one of the girls, also C's longest best sister friend, Elle, got sick. She was vomiting blood and had blood in her stool. Her family's homeopathic doctor said she had a stomach virus and sent her home. Within a week, she was airlifted. We got word her liver was failing. Homeopathic. God. We don't live in the dark ages, people. Like, I'm all for getting off of pharmaceuticals and all that, but when you have liver failure, okay, you gotta know when to treat something seriously, okay, or go to a homeopathic doctor for like nutrition or something like that. If you're going to a homeopathic doctor and you're being airlifted for liver failure, you missed something. You missed a lot of steps. We got word her liver was failing. During the long drive to the hospital, she passed away. Christ. The 3 of us girls were on the freeway when we got the call and were instructed to pull over. She was gone. She was 21. The doctor said she had hepatitis. I don't remember which type. Acute fulminant hepatitis something. Fulminate hepatitis. It had progressed so much without her knowing it. Only a liver transplant could have saved her. I call this time in my life the season of dying. Homeopathic medicine, huh? Us three girls kept the studio and art gallery going. We worked even harder now for Elle. The three of us have an undying bond from having experienced her death together and running a business together through it. We are having pretty impressive turnouts at our shows. C had met her guy, and that would later be her husband. I was glad because Elle and her best friend's sister's death had crushed her, and shortly after, she lost a niece during heart surgery for a congenital heart defect. She's a survivor, though. We all kept on. Husband and I were house sitting for one of my instructors one October around this time. He was at work, and I was alone there when I got a call from Drunky. Calls from Drunky were rare. She said she and little brother were on their way to my apartment and had something they needed to tell me. Visits from Drunky were not rare. They were unprecedented. I told her I was house sitting across town and to just tell me what's up. She said she had to tell me in person. The whole drive home, I thought B was dead. He was a TDY in Turkey. This was October of 2001. By the time I got home, I was almost uncomfortable with it. I had no good memories with him. He had abused me verbally, physically, psychologically, sexually. He had been gone out of our lives overseas for years now. I could live without him. I know that's terribly narcissistic thinking, but it's the truth. I knew someone was dead in my bones. I knew. Drunky had this certain way about her when she delivered news like that, and she was having that way about her on the phone. She was feigning sadness and was overly concerned about my feelings suddenly and the how and where I'm given the news. Drunky and little brother were there when I got home. I hopped out of the truck and they were walking towards me. I suddenly knew my father was dead. I remember realizing she'd be authentically sad if B died, but she wasn't. She was doing that fake sadness thing, and I just knew. They confirmed my fear. There was no cause of death yet. The autopsy was coming. My dad was dead, no longer living, at 54, and I didn't know why. Death derails us. There's no way around that. But for me, it didn't take me off. It didn't take me off on a detour. It shot me into the stratosphere. I was a 23-year-old woman with low self-esteem and alcoholism growing inside her, just waiting to be born. I and husband, by proxy, started drinking more and more and fighting more and more. He had a jealous streak, and I got attention when we went out. He had a jealous streak, and I got attention when we went out. It would wind up a fight between he and I, even though I never provoked anything, never dressed provocatively. I was a tomboy, always had been. I was managing to still juggle school and work, but they weren't good days for me. My jewelry instructor offered me an apprenticeship, and I took it. So now I had this huge load of responsibilities and was having trouble controlling my drinking. I was spinning out. I think this is a good place to break for now. I tend to be wordy, and this is getting long. Drunky always accused me of trying to make her feel stupid when I use my vocabulary, but I feel safe to be myself here. Thanks for creating the environment on your channel. Hope you're enjoying your Sunday. God bless you and yours and your channel too. Actually hope you're reading this on Monday. It must be hard to carry your work around in your pocket. Hope you ditch that smartphone and PC sometimes. I'm not allowed to do this today because for me it's therapy, not work. Until next time, Anonymous A. That sounds cooler. you know, the common denominator keeps coming back. You know, sexual abuse, alcohol, lack of empathy. And it's amazing that after you're given all this faith and all this confidence and this ability, you know, this apprenticeship where you're taken under the wing of a functional adult, functional marriage. You're seeing how functioning marriage works. You know, you're getting respect and care and appreciation, and you're learning skills and all this confidence to go out and start an art business and build and build your studio space, and all that comes crashing down like that. The narcissist can make you come crashing down like that in a snap, in an instant. They can knock you off your pinnacle at any instant. So now we're at 23. Our father is now dead. Her mother's feigning drunkie. The new drunkie is feigning concern, and it's right back to alcohol. You dealt with the death of your friend, your business partner. You kept going, you kept going, you kept going. You dealt with death. Not death of your father. Yeah, that'll change you. What's the common denominator in all your destruction? Your mother. Drunkie. And then right to the family legacy of alcohol. The narcissist will knock you off your pinnacle, will knock you off your pinnacle in an instant. It's that quick. Even after you've overcome all these obstacles, all that stuff, if you don't realize who and what you're dealing with, just like that, in an instant, they destroy you. In an instant. That's all it takes. Just takes an instant for the narcissist to destroy you. Period. So, I hope that helps. Thank you for another installment, Anonymous-y. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the contribution as well. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, or a Facebook live chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you guys. Without you, all of this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been The Narcissistic Resistance.